We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Stories fresh and bright, bringing truth to light. Every story counts, watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In a fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Stories fresh and bright, bringing truth to light. Every story counts, watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In a fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Stories fresh and Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Truth to light, every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In a fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts, we inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Truth to light, every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. In a fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share, news beyond compare. Breaking news right now, Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Breaking news right now. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Every story counts. Watch the views amount. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. In the fast-paced stream, we're your trusted team. Facts we can't ignore, bringing you much more. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare. Breaking news right now. Turn the volume loud. Headlines top the charts. We inform your hearts. Breaking news, HQ, always here for you. Trust the word we share. News beyond compare.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in. Sorry we were a little bit later getting on tonight than we planned on it, but I had a long day at work and we have been maintaining the stream all day, so I was a little bit tired. Allie's the strength of our team. She wasn't tired at all, but I was, so I had to take a break for a little bit, and I apologize for being a little bit late for coming on. But we're glad everybody's here. As you can see, we have some webcams up. Hurricane Milton has made landfall.
We're in the eye right now.
We're in the eye of it right now in these videos. Especially, you can see particularly down here in the bottom left-hand side there. That's in around Sarasota somewhere. Those are two storm chasers that are in the eye wall now. So you can see from the radar, and from there they're in the eye wall. We are seeing, as you can see on some of the webcams, you can see the storm surge is coming in. They're saying there's going to be kind of what they predicted. It's going to be between 8 to 13 foot of storm surge. So this is what they predicted. Plus, all the rain that they're predicted to fall is going to fall as well. So
and we do have the tide again tonight.
And the high tide, right around now, I think within the next 30 minutes, high tide is supposed to come in as well, which is a bad thing when you have storm surge coming in as well.
I'm still waiting on confirmation on that. There was conflicting reports. One said 12:15 a.m., one said 12:30 a.m., one said 12:02 a.m.
Yeah, sometime around, we're getting conflicting data about when high tide comes in, but it's around between midnight and 12:30 a.m.
Best case scenario is tide happens now.
Right.
Because if the tide comes in after the eye of the storm is done, when the rest of it all floods in, it's going to be bad news bears. So really, if we had it our way, we'd love to see tide right now, but I think it's going to be once the storm is fully hit land, unfortunately.
Right. The storm's going to be full on land when high tide hits, and it's going to be the worst case scenario for the Sarasota area. And you can see from the some of those webcams that you can see are from like the Tampa area. Everywhere it's getting hit. Tampa, it did skirt below south of Tampa and go in around Sarasota. But that doesn't relieve Tampa from all the stuff it's going to be a bad situation in Tampa as well. So it's the worst situation possible. So we'll continue to watch it with you. I'm trying to pull up some other videos and stuff while we're talking about it. But as you can see, it did make landfall. You can see it came in as, let me pull up my information. Currently, right now, it came in as a Cat 3 at 120 miles per hour, and it hasn't really slowed down. But the eye did just come on land, so we should start seeing some slowdown now. But it came in as a Cat 3. It did slow down a little bit. It went from a 5 during the day down to a 4, as you can see. We went from around 160 miles per hour last night, around 2 a.m. to around 8 a.m. this morning. It was down to a low end category 4, and then it's just gone down a little bit during the day. But it did not, the wind shear affected it, but it did not have a significant effect on it. It's still a major hurricane going on land in Sarasota. So we hope everybody's being safe out there. We can talk about too. Today they had swarms of tornadoes as the bands coming off of the hurricane went across Florida. It hit the east coast of Florida. The west coast of Florida, and they got a few tornadoes, but it really took effect on the west coast of Florida near Orlando and south of there. There were just swarms upon swarms of huge tornadoes that done. Last I heard, it had done 10 people, at least 10 people were dead, maybe possibly 12, and I haven't seen the updated numbers yet from it, but those tornadoes definitely took their toll on the west coast of Florida, more so, keep getting the west and the east messed up, I'm not thinking straight. it took its toll on the east coast of Florida, because it doesn't make sense that the east got hit harder than the west with the tornadoes, because the west they had tornadoes, but nothing like they did on the east coast of Florida. So we'll continue to watch. I'll try to find some videos as well of the tornadoes themselves as they happened today, because there's tons of where people are taking videos of them. But we hope everybody out there is staying safe. You can see I have the Tampa radar pulled up as well. It looks like we don't currently have any tornado warnings or anything going on right now. So that's one benefit of what's going on. We're just dealing with the hurricane right now and the storm surge and the winds that go along with it. So. So we'll continue to watch it, and we'll break in and talk about it as things happen. But you can see we're still watching the torrential downpours and the flooding that is happening from the storm surge. It's a little bit crazy what they're seeing in around Tampa and Sarasota right now. So we're watching Hurricane Milton as it's making landfall. We're in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see a storm chaser that we have permission to use his feed. You can see, if I can get this ad off of here. You can see that they're getting pounded in the Sarasota area right now, and the storm surge appears to be as bad as it's predicted to be. There we go. So you can see the winds and the rain are pounding, and right now they're on the road. They're not quite as close to the coast of it yet, so you don't see the storm surge as much. But earlier they were showing the storm surge just flooding into the Sarasota area. So I'm pulling up some videos of the tornado swarms that we were just talking about. But like I said, they hit the west coast of Florida, but we didn't have as many tornadoes there as we had on the east coast south of Orlando. They had just had swarms upon swarms of tornadoes this afternoon. I think the last count I heard was 8 tornadoes hit on the east coast of Florida this afternoon. So we're hoping everyone out there is safe. We don't know where you're at, but if you're in Florida, we hope you and your family are being safe. We hope that you evacuated if that was the case. Like I said, they definitely, even though the storm went a little bit farther south than they were originally talking about, I mean, that's just usually the case with these hurricanes. They wiggle and wobble around out in the Gulf, and based on the temperature of the water and stuff like that, and the weather patterns and all that, they can change up pretty quickly where it's going to hit. So making a judgment call on where it's going to hit based on models is always just that, a judgment call. So they were not far off. It just luckily for Tampa, and I say luckily because Tampa really is technically still getting hit by it. They may be of a little bit lesser impact, which is good for them because Tampa Bay, as we talked about last night, definitely is not the best option for all this storm surge to come in. They're still getting a lot of storm surge in Tampa.
And I think it's about the next hour or so, give or take, is going to be the rest of this.
Right, in the next couple hours, there'll be this with this storm moving across the Sarasota area. It ended up being a fairly big hurricane. It was Milton. Originally, when it first became a Cat 5 hurricane, or Cat 5 hurricane the other day, it was not that big of a hurricane. But by the time it made landfall, it actually is a fairly good sized hurricane. I haven't heard the diameter of it across the storm, but it ended up doubling in size based on what it was when it first became a Cat 5 hurricane. If you have areas that you would like us to look up, I'll gladly do that for you. Just let us know in the chat. We're glad you're here watching the storm with us. Again, you can see some of the rain, the bands that are going along with Milton right now. There we go. Get it updated. You can see Tampa's getting a bunch of storms, and they're on the north side of it, so they're getting hit pretty good from it. And even though they may not have the height of the storm surge that Sarasota did when it came on land, they're still having a significant amount of storm surge in Tampa. Welcome in, everybody. We're watching as Hurricane Milton makes landfall. He came in. The eye of the hurricane is down near Sarasota. But as you can see from the live radar up there, that it looks like Tampa's getting the worst side of it right now. The storm surge down the left-hand side, we have a storm chaser that's down in Florida. It's near Sarasota. And the storm surge definitely is bad as it is as bad as they promised. Right now, he's on the road driving. The storm surge was getting so bad they had to evacuate from downtown. But from downtown Sarasota or the area they were in, because it was starting to get to the point where they might not be able to get out if they didn't get out when they did. But the storm surge is just as bad as they predicted. I think Tampa's also. I don't have anybody in Tampa right now, but you can see some of the webcams that we have up. Tampa's getting hit just as hard. As a matter of fact, if you look at the live radar, you can see it looks like they're getting hit harder with the storms portion of the hurricane right now than Sarasota is. So we'll continue to watch this, and if you have any questions or have anything you want me to look up, please let me know. Good evening, everybody. We're watching Hurricane Milton as it makes landfall around or has made landfall around Sarasota area. You can see some of the storm surge there in the Sarasota area. It's as bad as promised. It's getting higher and higher, and we're getting closer and closer to high tide, which is the worst case scenario. It did swing a little bit south this morning or this afternoon. If you haven't been following it. It did go in around the Sarasota area and Bradenton area, but you can see on the live radar up there that we are getting pretty bad storms in the Tampa area as well. So they're getting their share of the bad part of the storm as well, and or getting storm surge. It's not going to be quite as bad as storm surge there as it is in Sarasota, but it's still going to be a significant storm surge, and they'll definitely feel the effects of that as well. We're glad everybody's here. We're going to try to keep everybody informed. We appreciate you being here, and we'll continue to watch the storm as it makes its way across Florida. Good evening, everybody. We thank you for being here and watching along with us. We're watching as some storm chasers are following Hurricane Milton as it makes landfall in Sarasota, Florida. It is definitely as bad as promised as far as storm surge. It's getting higher, as you can see in that video there in the center at the bottom. It seems to be getting worse and worse as we get closer and closer to high tide too, which is supposed to hit sometime between midnight and 12:30. We keep getting conflicting information exactly when high tide is.
And I don't think they can really give the information of how accurate we'll get high tide because the waters are so active right now.
Right. I don't know if technically with the hurricane coming in close to, I don't know how that affects high tide and stuff. So that might be why we're not getting real good information on when high tide is. However, we do know that it's the high tide is sometime between midnight and 12:30. So we're watching them as these guys are these storm chasers do an incredible job. I have to say they are. I'm not sure if it's incredible or crazy, or a little bit of both, but they do an amazing job, and that's they're to be applauded for what they do, because they provide footage for all of us that can't be there to see what the storm is actually like. So it's amazing what they do. So it's to be applauded what they're doing. And you can see not only the storm surge is an issue, but all the rain and the wind that's falling right now in the Sarasota area that they're in, that it's just crazy right now. You can see up there on the live radar coming out of Tampa that Tampa, even though this hurricane didn't come in there, it is definitely taking a pounding as far as storms and stuff in Tampa area. And they're still getting storm surge, but it's maybe not quite as bad as it is in Sarasota, but they're still talking like 6 to 8 foot of storm surge in the Tampa area, which is good for them because it'll be a little bit less. I mean, not good because that's not no storm surge is the best option, but at least it's not quite as bad as it could be with waiting for it to drain back out through Tampa Bay. Talking about this live radar, you can also see we were talking about earlier about you can see the picture, which is a video I'll play later. One of the tornadoes the swarm of tornadoes that formed off of Milton just south of Orlando this afternoon. You can still see up around Orlando and stuff on that live radar. We're seeing all kinds of circulation in that area that could possibly become tornadoes. Right now, I'm not seeing any tornado warnings, but let me make sure nothing's. No, we just have flood watches in all those areas, but we are seeing circulation. You can see on the map the little circulation symbols, and the ones in red are the ones that are most likely to become tornadoes. We also have one down near Tampa that could possibly become a tornado as well. So we're continuing to watch that as well. But we'll continue watching Milton. But thank you for being here with us as we watch it. We'll make it through this storm together, we're glad you're here. So if you have any questions, you feel free to ask them in chat, and we'll be glad to answer them as best we can and look them up and bring up information for you. But again, thank you for being here with us.
We're technically still in the eye as well.
Right, we're still. It's not. It looks bad, but we're technically still in the eye of the storm now.
Which should be freaking calm.
Right. Usually the eye of the storm is the calmest portion of the storm, but right now it's not necessarily the calmest portion of the. It's calmer than it is on the outside of the eye, but it's not necessarily what I would consider calm. A lot of times, like with Helene, when they were in the eye of the storm, you could see there was no wind. They saw birds flying and stuff in the eye. And right now they're in the eye, and you can see they're still taking a pounding. And you can see we have a bunch of webcams pulled up from all around Florida, but particularly the Tampa Bay area. They keep going in and out. So if you see a black screen as part of the webcams, it's because of they're losing power and stuff. They keep going in and out on us. So I'll continue to look for other sources for us to see stuff down in that area. But this is quite a storm. It came on land today. or tonight, at a category 3 with about 120 mile per hour sustained wind. So it did calm down some during the day like they predicted, but it definitely came in like a lion. It was, it was not 160 miles per hour like it was at 2 a.m. this morning. It was down to 130 or 120 miles per hour, but still 120 mile per hour winds can do their fair share of damage. But also I think the storm surge and the flooding from the torrential downpours that were coming with Hurricane Milton are going to be what does the most damage in these areas. So we're hoping that that everybody's staying safe and staying away from, don't have any tornadoes or any bad storms. I don't know where everybody's located at, but we're praying for your safety, and that if you were in one of these areas and had to evacuate, we hope that you don't have any property damage when you get home. And we appreciate you being here. And like I said, if you have any questions, want me to look up a specific area, or if I can answer any questions, just let me know in the chat, and I'll be glad to do it. We will continue to watch these and watch these guys do amazing work as they're doing this storm chasing. And they're supposed to, I haven't heard any different, but I know that the Hurricane Milton was even supposed to affect like up through the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas with riptides and stuff. So even though the Carolinas and Georgia aren't necessarily getting the brunt of the storm, which is a good thing after Helene had made its way through, it is definitely, they're feeling a little bit of it too. So we're praying for all those people as well. So watch along with us as we make our way through Hurricane Milton. We've talked about it. Feels like we're finally at the finish line. We've talked about Milton the last several days as he slowly made his way across the Gulf. So he's finally made it to Florida, and unfortunately he came in just as strong as we expected him to. You can see as they're driving on the streets, I think they had to kind of get away from where they were at because the storm surge was getting so high that it was coming to flood. Well, you could already see it was already flooded, but it was getting flooded to the point that if they didn't get out there when they did, they weren't going to be able to make it out. So you can see there, as they're driving on the streets, there already are trees and stuff down all over the streets. Unfortunately, these hurricanes, when they come in, they leave their mark usually when they come through. Especially if they're a category 3 or 4 or 5, they do their damage. I lived through Hurricane Hugo that went through South Carolina in the late 80s, and
you were deployed to Katrina.
And I was also deployed to Katrina. I'm an environmental engineer, so I was brought in to help do the cleanups and include like the tanks and stuff that got in the water, but other stuff.
Well, you also did search and rescue, because anybody that went down there, if there was no way to restore power, do anything to clean up the environment, part of cleaning up the environment is making sure you can get the deceased out.
Right. Unfortunately, part of the environmental cleanup was handling deceased bodies as well, so it was not a fun time. I can tell you that if I had a choice of not doing it, I wouldn't have done it. But I also felt like I had a calling to be there as well, because as many deceased people that we dealt with, we also rescued people as well. So it was Katrina was nowhere near as strong as Milton is, and it by far decimated New Orleans. Of course, part of that was because of the levees breaking, so that made it even worse. But it was unlike anything that you'll ever see, with the streets of New Orleans just completely flooded. I can definitely sympathize with the people in Asheville, North Carolina, with all the flooding and the decimation that they've seen from Helene, where it made its path through the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee as well. Areas where people thought they'd never have to deal with flooding are now dealing with flooding, and it just literally. Asheville, I've been to Asheville plenty of times, and the videos I've seen of Asheville since Helene made her way through there, it does not even look like the same town anymore. I will say one thing that impresses me about these storm chasers is how they keep cell phone signals during this storms. I mean, just look at what they're driving through, and they still... I'm pretty sure, I don't think these guys have Starlink. I think they're using just like Verizon, and it's just incredible that they keep a pretty stable signal during this whole process. There you can see we got some more of the storm surge in that area. They're a little bit farther from the coast, but you can see there's getting significant, between the rain and the storm surge, they're getting quite a bit of flooding going on right there.
And this is very odd to see this in the eye.
Right, again.
So, we do know that the eye is supposed to be the calm. And then after, obviously before the eye is the storm surge. The eye is, if we compare it to Helene, and I'm sure after this hurricane is over, when it gets into the phase of the relief and the cleanup, we'll show videos of when these storm chasers were in the eye during Helene. It was a little windy, but it was calm.
And the eye of Helene was kind of unusual. When the front, usually, as you know, the eye is a circle, and you have two walls, the lead wall and the trailing wall. Well, when Helene made landfall, the eye of the hurricane just kind of collapsed, and you got the front wall of the eye, and then all of a sudden the back wall of the eye, just the back end of the storm just kind of collapsed. So, it just like once the eye got there, the storm kind of, it didn't really, I won't say it just kind of died, because it went on up through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and Ohio, and Kentucky with hurricane force winds, and did all kinds of destruction. But it was kind of a weird situation that is not as unusual for a hurricane to have the eye collapse like that.
So this is very strange that it's this active in the eye, because they always say it's it's almost like the calm before the storm. It's that calm. And then, of course, after the eye, we have the rest of the hurricane. But from what we could see on radar and from what they were predicting, that part of the hurricane that comes after the eye is actually going to be worse than before the eye. If that I'm sure Tony will explain that in a much better way, but that's another odd thing about this.
Right, and with hurricanes, you always have there's one side of the hurricane that's worse. If you're on the south, it's at the northeastern and the southeastern side of it. The way it spins around, those sides see the worst of the storms for whatever reason. Unfortunately, I'm not a meteorologist, so I don't know exactly. I have a science background, but I don't know exactly what causes that. But you can see up on that live radar that like Tampa's taking a beating because of the position. It would have actually, except for the storm surge, it would have been better for Tampa if it would have went in through Tampa Bay, because of it wouldn't have took the hit from all the storms that you're seeing rolling through that area now. But on the same token, by going a little bit south, they don't get as much storm surge as like Sarasota's getting. So you have to take the good with the bad, I guess, as they say. So we just have to, we'll watch what happens, and the bad thing about these storms when they roll through at night, just like Helene, when it came through, we really didn't know the true amount of destruction that it had reaped upon the areas like Cedar Key and stuff where it came in, because until morning came, we didn't know how bad exactly it was. So we'll continue to watch these storm chasers as they do the job that a lot of us aren't able to or couldn't do. So we appreciate them being down there and toughing it through this storm and getting this video footage for us, so we can experience as they do how bad it is. Good evening, everybody. We're still watching the chasers as I think they're moving into the second side of the back side of the eye wall is coming through. As you can see on the radar, it's spinning around. I need to. So we can see that it's it's starting to spin around, and they're seeing the back wall of the eye and the storms and stuff. They're making their way back down towards them. Trying to get my live radar so it's showing it in motion. I don't know why it's not. There we go. So you can see as it's spinning around there, it's coming back through there. I think they're moving into. They're moving with the storm, trying to chase, as they say, chase the storm. So they're chasing the bad part of the storm. As you can see, as it's moving, that bad area is moving up through the Tampa area. It's kind of looks to me like they predicted that Milton was going to go straight across Florida, but to be honest with you, just looking at that motion, you can see it on the live radar like I am. It looks like it's moving up north in Florida right now. I don't know if it's
which is very strange. It looks like to me that it might, unless it can gain some speed or slow down, it looks like it might be another one where it just curves and comes back.
Right. It almost it makes you wonder if it's starting to turn a little bit. It's not what it's showing. You can see in the right hand corner I have another app that's kind of showing where it's going. It's a little easier to see. That's not the weather radar, but it looks like it's kind of turning to the north a little bit. But I'm not sure they expected that. They've kind of altered the path of it, as you can see up there in the upper right hand side. They still say it's going to make a turn to the north and then go across, but I don't think that originally is what they were saying it was going to do. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are or what you're seeing, but that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Is that it makes you wonder if it's going to turn more than they expect it to. And we have seen hurricanes, and forgive me, I'm horrible with names. I can't remember the names, but we have seen them do unexpected things and then turn and go back out into the Gulf, which would be crazy if it did that. But these storms, the predictions that they make are number models, which they're good for what they are, but again, there's only so much mathematical number models can predict. So we'll continue to watch this and see what Milton does. He has been unpredictable from the very beginning.
We also don't know, because we are in eye wall 2 of 2, and it looks like the worst part of the storm is going to be after the eye wall. Right now, it's supposed to be calm because we're in the eye. But we don't know if our storm chasers are trying to get to a safer area or if they're trying to get further into the action.
Yeah, I think they're following it up to get further into the action. That I think they kind of got chased out of the area where the storm surge was. It was getting to the point that they were afraid they were going to get stuck. And at that point, if you get stuck, it could get bad real fast. So I think they're following the storm up. And Bubbles Landia said it's from a 5 down to a 3 is major. Originally, I was told it would go straight through the middle of the state and onto the ocean until it slowed down. Curving up was definitely not in the plan. Yeah, I agree, Bubble.
Good evening, Bubble. Nice to see you.
It's definitely, and y'all can confirm if you're seeing the same thing I am. But it definitely looks like way it's spinning, like it's turning north, even maybe northwest a little bit.
And we really always expect. How it goes is we see the storm surge, then you get the eye, and it's like, okay, let's breathe. This is our time to regroup, get our second wind. But the eye has not been calm. The eye is literally like, you can't, if we wouldn't have known this was the eye, if we had no radar, if we were back in, the Stone Age, not really that far, but if we didn't have this technology, we would probably think we haven't seen the eye yet. And that's not an exaggeration. This storm we predicted would be something we've never heard of, and I think it's turning out to be just that.
Yeah, well, Milton has been that from the very beginning, where it went from a Category 2 to a Category 5 in one day, then back from a Category 5 down to a Category 2 and then back up to a Category 5, then back down to a Category 3. I can honestly say I've never seen a hurricane do that, and I don't know that we ever will again. But Milton has been unpredictable from the very beginning. So if it made a turn on us and did something that we didn't expect it to do, I would not be really surprised that would be the case. And it concerns me still as you look at that live radar from Tampa, all that circulation on the outside skirts of those bands from Milton. It worries me that after having those swarms of tornadoes in the Orlando area earlier today, it worries me that that could possibly happen again as it moves towards Ocala and
it does
Gainesville.
really look like it's going north.
It does.
It was supposed, even with the cone of uncertainty, it was supposed to make a straight shot across Florida.
Right.
From coast to coast. It looks like two things. Like it's either going to go north or like it's going to spin and possibly come back down a little bit.
Either that or it definitely looks like it's going north, and almost looks like, if you look at those bands, it almost looks like they're tilting to the east a little bit.
And if it hits that water,
right,
it's going to get strength again and it's going to come back.
Right, and the question is, if it does go back in the Gulf again, we've seen stuff like this happen before where either it goes across Florida and it goes in Atlantic and then curves back in, hits South Carolina and North Carolina, or...
And I think if it does come back to land, the best scenario, and this sounds so heartless and rude to say, but the best scenario would be for it to hit the Tampa area again or hit the west coast of Florida, because if it turned and made it into Georgia or made it into Louisiana or even went into the Atlantic and then turned and made it into the Carolinas, a lot of people evacuated up there thinking they would be safe, thinking it would go right across from the west coast to the east coast of Florida and they'd be okay. Now, I'm very pleased that last night I went on a rant about people should go to Miami. I was right. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or brag, but I said it's ridiculous with people all thinking they have to head north. Right. To me, it always looked like Miami was not going to get a direct hit.
The north side of this storm, by far, the north and east side of this storm has been by far the worst part of it. I mean, it's just poor Orlando. They were they weren't necessarily thought they were safe from the storm, but I don't think they expected, and none of us expected, for the swarms of tornadoes. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Again, that's another thing with Milton. I don't think I've ever seen storms, and they were just massive tornadoes. You can see that one that I have up on the screen. I haven't played that video yet, but there's
8,000 people listening in on the scanners.
Allie just said there's 8,000 people listening on the scanners of what all the stuff that's going on. She's a EMT and firefighter, so she has a professional scanner. She can look in different areas, and in those areas down there's over 8,000 people in the Tampa area that are listening to the scanners of all the stuff that's going on. And I'm assuming it's probably pretty active. I haven't brought a scanner, Broadcastify up or anything up, but I'm assuming everything's popping off. Tampa's getting hammered right now with storm.
And it looks like our storm chasers are going deeper in. I mean, they're going to have to move again. We've got one of our storm chaser teams. They're getting so filled up with water right now, they're going to have to move again. Yeah. They just moved about 20-30 minutes ago. The area they're in, I don't know if they can move. They're in a flash flood. They did not expect it. They knew that there would be water, but the part they went to, they're stuck in a flash flood.
Right.
I can't really see. Are they up right now?
Is what up right now?
Do we have our storm chick?
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, they're up right now.
Yeah, they're stuck in a flash flood, so hopefully they can get out.
Right.
I don't know. That water's coming in super fast.
Right, and I don't know if that's storm surge or if that's rain or a combination of both right now, because I know they moved back over from they were closer to the coast and they moved. But look at that water. They're getting, for lack of a way of putting it, they're getting waves that's deep enough. I'd say that's probably 6 or 7 inches of water on that road that they probably shouldn't be driving through, but they are anyway. But they do the stuff that none of us want to do. So they make decisions to get the footage and everything that all of us want to see, but sometimes I wonder about our guys out there chasing these storms, if they're gonna make it or not. I worry about them.
I mean, they are stuck in a flash flood right now.
Yeah, look at that chair just floated by.
There you go.
There you go. Somebody's dining room chair just floated down the street. Somebody ain't gonna have somewhere to sit for Thanksgiving this year because the chair just went down the street.
As long as no mailboxes.
Right, we can't lose any mailboxes. We already lost one in Kentucky we never could find. And Bubble knows that we're still looking for that mailbox. Bubble said, yes, if this is going to hover over land longer and cover more land area than was expected, in that case, even lower top wind speeds could do much more damage than even the 5 would have. I agree, Bubble. It's category Hugo, when it hit South Carolina, was a 3, and it was destruction. I mean, when I lived there, it tore stuff up. I mean, it just cut a path across the state of South Carolina. It was a 3, but it was a slow-moving storm. So as it was moving, and again, another thing that reminds me of Hugo, and I just thought of this, was all the tornadoes that Milton has caused. Hugo did the same thing. I
mean, that, even just the pictures of those funnel clouds like you got it up. That is a massive tornado.
And that tornado went across I-75.
And we do have a death toll from just the tornadoes.
What was the final death toll from the tornado? Well, I say
we
final,
know for a fact too, but earlier we stopped broadcasting when we found out there were 10 people trapped.
Right, they were looking for. It was when the tornadoes got bad. The footage that we were showing was showing stuff that I didn't necessarily feel comfortable showing or talking about, because I don't want to. I know as a news person you have to talk about everything, but I don't want to put people.
Just because of the fact that there was 10 people trapped in under rubble because of a house from this tornado. We expect to see numbers that are not positive. We knew that there were 2 confirmed deaths before Milton even hit land, and those were from the storms. But there was earlier, like we said, when the tornado came through, there was 10 people that were trapped in a house. So, hopefully they're okay, but at least just the fact that there was already 2 before it even made landfall is ridiculous. And we have more of our guys trying to go out. I hope they're getting to safety. Every time they start driving, it's like, where are you going?
Bubble said today someone in the chat for a storm chaser asked if they had a tank, and the storm chaser said yes, it's a RAV4. Unfortunately, a RAV4 does not qualify as a tank, but if to them maybe it's a tank.
I treat my Jeep like it's a Humvee still. Once you've been in a Humvee, every vehicle is a Humvee.
Right.
My screen broke.
Reed Timmer is one of the chasers that we're watching as he chases, and he's gracious enough to let us use his footage. He couldn't even rent a car this time. They've quit after Helene. He messed up the rental car so bad. I think he's been banned from renting cars.
Yeah, he was blacklisted.
So he had to drive down his own personal vehicle to do this storm chase. So it's a little worrying. I don't know exactly what type of vehicle he's in, but it's a little worrying what type he is. He's riding in through these floodwaters. So we hope he makes it out safely. But Reed has always made a few questions. If you've followed Reed's career, even when he was on the show, I can't remember if it was Storm Chasers or Twister. It was on Discovery Channel. He was when he was in college getting his doctorate, and he was chasing tornadoes in Oklahoma and Texas. Sometimes Reed makes some decisions that aren't necessarily the best for himself or the people that are riding with him. So we pray for Reed, and hopefully he makes it through it safely. But he's done it so far, so we ask that he be safe. But yeah, some of the scary stuff about the tornadoes, when we stopped covering it a little bit this afternoon, there were some that were the size of this one that jumped I-75 that you see on the screen there. It was headed towards like school, elementary school and stuff. And the scary part about that, I know school was out because of the hurricane. It probably was going to be out the rest of the week. They use those schools for shelters and stuff, and people had moved towards Orlando because everybody was saying, you know, the storm's going to go straight across. You don't have anything to worry about. So a lot of people, they just drive a couple hour or so away, and a lot of people went to the East Coast, which, you know, based on the track that they had predicted, they would have been fine, and nobody could have predicted these storms or tornadoes for sure. But some were headed towards like elementary schools and stuff. I just didn't feel comfortable. The possibilities of the death and destruction that could have come from that is, if that was being used for a shelter, I didn't feel comfortable showing any of that footage because I don't, you know, it's just, I don't know. You don't want to dwell on that stuff, even though we know it happens. You don't want to put that out there if you don't have to. And I swear, I'm still watching the radar up there. I'm just mesmerized how it's like, looks like it's turning.
That'll be interesting. You know, if you guys have any thoughts, do you think this thing is just going to keep heading north? Do you think it's going to turn and maybe get into the water or come back onto land? I mean,
I'll tell you what, I'll put a poll up in the, give me just a second. I'll put a poll up in our chat, and then everybody can tell us what you think. Is it turning, or are we losing our minds? Because it definitely looks to us like it's turning, for sure. So,
do you think it'll keep moving north, head across to the east coast of Florida, or come back around for round 2? Hopefully we don't hear ding ding ding, round 2. This is not a UFC fight against the US. Do not want round 2.
yeah. We do not want Milton. We would be happy if Milton would just go away. He has been an unpredictable fella since he was born a few days ago in the Gulf.
Like your son tells you, slow it down, sport.
That's right. Slow it down, sport.
Well, while there's all this destruction and scary stuff, you can tell them about how you made a big mistake as a father by telling your son you were throwing away the lawnmower.
Yeah, I was cutting the grass
You have a 6-year-old.
I have a 6-year-old, and we were cutting the grass this weekend.
We have a 6-year-old.
We have a 6-year-old, sorry. And we were cutting the grass this weekend, and I have an older push mower it's part of our lawn that you can't use the riding mower, you have to push it. So he was out there with me as I was pushing the grass, and I told him, I said, we need to get rid of this one and just we'll buy another one, but I'll let you pick out the next one we buy. And he got so upset and broke down into tears. He was not happy that we were throwing our lawnmower away, but it was a used lawnmower to start off with, and now it's seen its better days for sure.
For a little context, our 6-year-old son is 6 going on 65. He has always been obsessed with cutting the grass. Even just the grass in general. This kid is obsessed with his lawn. So, I think it might be, you'll hear lots of fun stories about our Easton. Easton is my son from my first marriage. Unfortunately, I mean, he didn't have the best biological father, so when I got with Tony was an outstanding gentleman and wanted nothing more than to adopt Easton, and he did. So Easton got to still be adopted by him, so we finally got a daddy. But I think when I was a single mom, I was in the military when I was a single mom, and it kind of felt like he was looking like, hey, there's supposed to be a man around. So he would say, it's okay, Mama. I got this. Man of the house. Man of the house. And I had family members like my twin brother, my battle buddy. He was, an uncle to my son. And so he really, I think he thought, oh, I'm supposed to help my mom. So he would watch the neighbors go out every Saturday morning, and he'd get dressed and get ready to go out. His big thing was, Mama, I'm going to cut the grass. Make some lemonade. Stat. And he would get down and he would check the grass, make sure it looked even. I mean, this kid, like I said, 6 going on 65. So he gets very upset about his grass. If somebody walks on the grass, he decides to scream out the window, get off my lawn. We've explained it's the mailman.
This child actually gets down on his knees and takes his fingers and measures the grass to make sure it's the right height after I cut it. So he's definitely got an engineering future ahead of him.
He's something else.
Yeah. He doesn't cut me a break when it comes to cutting the grass. I have to do it right or he'll make me do it over again.
Paw Patrol and cutting grass.
Right.
Paw Patrol and what is it? Oh, out there where they landscaping.
Right, landscaping and Paw Patrol. That's his groove.
He so badly wants a riding lawnmower.
Right.
And then the neighbor, of course, got a riding lawnmower that's the size of a tractor, and of course he wants that one now.
Right, our neighbor he has it's not a postage stamp size lawn, but I mean, it's not what I would describe as a big lawn either. No, he went and bought like a full-on tractor to cut his grass with. I'm like, he needs like an extra yard just to be able to turn that sucker around in his yard to be able to cut the grass. So Easton's jealous that he has a riding tractor to cut the grass on, not just a riding lawnmower. So we're watching our storm chasers. Welcome in, everybody. We're still covering as Hurricane Milton makes its way on to into Florida. It made landfall near Sarasota. That's where the eye came in.
The eye was only measured at 4 miles.
Right, the eye was pretty small and compact, but well formed, and it stayed well formed the entire time it was going across the Gulf. We're watching it now to see. You see the pole we have up. It kind of looks like, if you look at the radar, we're trying to watch and see if it's making a turn to the northeast on us. It looks like, I mean, even though it landed in Sarasota instead of Tampa, it definitely looks to me like via the radar, Tampa is getting pounded right now. I don't know what the storm surge looks like because our chasers are down towards Sarasota where it's making landfall. Which Sarasota definitely was having bad storm surge as predicted, and rainfall and storms as well. But it definitely looks like Tampa is getting pounded right now by this storm. It's crazy.
Check what Bubble said. That was funny. In the chat.
Maybe he'll be excited about the new lawnmower. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to actually I'm going to buy a new lawnmower. I'm not sure if he's going to even let me throw away the old one or not.
I don't think so. Oh, did Grandma have to hear about it?
Right. He told on me to Allie's mom, so I'm in trouble with her too for telling him I was going to throw away the lawnmower. I didn't want, to be honest, when I told him, I didn't realize what havoc it was going to cause. Because the lawnmower's in horrible condition. Like I said, I bought it used 10 years ago, and I'm impressed it made it this far. And I didn't realize saying I was going to get him a new one, and I was going to even let him pick it out was going to cause so much drama.
You know what you should do?
What?
Tell him he does not get a new lawnmower until he says fire truck.
Right.
If anybody knows, I mean, Easton's our first. So if anyone knows how we can get him to figure out words, kids are a sponge. This kid has been a sponge from way too early on. He, like we said, he loves Paw Patrol. And as a firefighter, of course, we like to put our kids. I mean, our newborn has tons of firefighter stuff, but Easton, bless his heart, still calls it a fuck truck.
Yeah.
So
We just hope he doesn't. When we're out and about, we hope we don't see a fire truck, so he does not call it what he calls it out in public.
and he thinks he's just trying to make us laugh or he's being funny. He doesn't know that sometimes he's so very wrong. Like, we have a running joke, and it's one of those things you forget as parents. We have a joke, you know, if you ever watch On Patrol, anytime, well, 95% of the time, if the camera pans to a young female, they start twerking. And so we say, no pop pop. So we were out at the grocery store. Easton saw a young adult female, pointed at her and yelled at her and said, no pop pop.
Right?
So Tony said, okay, we're done, and just rushes to like the other side of the grocery store.
Easton's one of those children, when you go to pick him up from daycare, the teacher says, you're never going to believe what he said today. You catch your breath because you're hoping what he said today was not something controversial. And usually it's not. He's a good boy. He knows not to say that kind of stuff around other people. But when they tell you when you walk in the door, you're never going to believe what he said today. You have one of those moments where you catch your breath and hope that he's not saying something he shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, he also got truly afraid the other night. He thought you and him lost something outside. You can explain that.
I was trying to remember what we'd lose outside.
He lost his foreskin.
Oh.
He heard it on TV.
He heard it on TV about somebody losing their foreskin, and now he was worried that while we were cutting grass, he may have lost his foreskin.
He doesn't even know what it is.
Right, but he definitely knows he doesn't want to lose it. So
He asked Tony, Daddy, did I lose it outside when we were cutting the grass? I think you would know if you lost it while cutting the grass.
all right, if you lost that while we were cutting the grass, something went horribly wrong.
I said, no, buddy, it's been gone. Who took it? I don't know.
Phew, I just saw my horrendous spelling in our news ticker of category. I have just fixed that.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, I have a master's degree in engineering. I should know how to spell category, and that was not how to spell category.
It's been a long 2 days.
Yeah, it's been a long between work and the hurricane. It's been and streaming. It's been a long couple of days.
And of course, you had a fire at one of your plants.
Yeah, we had stuff happen at one of the plants. I've been working 14-hour days as well, so it has been a long couple of days and a long weekend because all that happened over the weekend. So,
but we're making it through.
all right, we're gonna make it through one way or another. We're just glad to be here with y'all and be able to cover Hurricane Milton and share and sit here and watch it with you and get everybody's opinion on what's going on with it. So,
And it'll be interesting to see once the eye is done how bad the storm picks up in intensity. Oh, one of our storm chasers is at my work. And also, what's going to be interesting to see is, does it continue north?
right.
So 2 big things we're going to look for in the next half hour to an hour is it going to go north, and also what the storm is going to look like after the eye, because it looks like that's the heaviest part.
Right.
And it does look like, even though it looks like the heaviest part has moved north of Tampa, it's still spinning down.
Right. I brought up the Windy app. I'll put this on. You can kind of see it a little bit better on the Windy app because it's not quite as detailed of a radar. I don't know. I still think it looks like it's going northeast a little bit. Definitely making a little bit of a turn north.
Are you going to post that one?
Yeah, I'm about to put this in our... You can see a little bit better than, as strange as it is, the radar that we have up right now, it's almost a little bit too detailed. Let's put this up here so everybody can see what I'm seeing. I can definitely not imagine being, we talked about, I was deployed to Katrina and multiple hurricanes as an environmental engineer doing different stuff as far as it goes with the cleanup afterwards. I definitely can't imagine being a storm chaser. As fun as it looks like it would be, and in my younger years I may have done it, I don't even know if in my younger years if I could have been as crazy as Reed Timmer is.
It looks like not all of our emergency backup lights came on at the hospital.
Oh yeah? Yeah, that the hospital they were showing is one that Allie used to work at, and she's saying that it doesn't look like the generators.
I have a lot of friends at that hospital right now. I literally used to live in Sarasota. So I worked at Sarasota Memorial in the ER as a PA, physician's assistant. And I have a lot of people there. So what they do, if you're not familiar, in the healthcare field, we have, especially in, a hurricane area, we have A team and B team. So A team goes to the hospital like a couple hours before the storm is supposed to hit, and they're there for the duration of the storm. Once the storm has passed and like the roads are open and stuff, then A team gets to go home, and then B team comes in during the cleanup and relief stage. So I always was on A team just because it would be a safer place for me instead of me trying to evacuate alone. Easton would have to go with Grandma, but it just, this, I don't know. I mean, the hospital, it definitely is dark, and I know what it used to look like, but this is something different. And if it does turn back...
And you can definitely see, I put up the windy app up in the right-hand corner over the top of the other one because the other one doesn't show as detail, but you can kind of see, it kind of mimics what you can see on the detail radar we have on the left side, but you can just see the eye defined a little bit better in the windy one for some reason. I think it's because it's not as infrared. You can see it, that it's definitely moving slower, and it almost looks like it's spinning. It's making a little bit of a path across Florida, but it definitely looks like it's possibly making a north-northeast turn, for sure.
I still think it might spin back down. Not all the way down to like the Sarasota area.
But it's hard to say too, is it that it's slowed down so much that it looks like it might be turning because it's slowed down in the spinning thing. But I swear it looks like the way it's spinning, it looks like it does have a little bit of a north-northeast turn, or excuse me, north-northwest turn, not northeast. If I can just figure out my east and west, I'll be doing okay tonight. I've made that mistake multiple times tonight. So you can see wherever our storm chasers are at, they're still getting pounded. I think they're probably moving up towards Tampa, would be my guess.
I think so too. That's what I would be guessing.
The rain's so heavy you can't really see the highway signs to see what it says.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, Bubble, it definitely gained size overnight. It almost doubled in size, but at some point yesterday, if you look at it, if we went back and looked at the size of the storm, it definitely came pretty close to doubling the size of the original storm. It is, and I think it's just dumping bucket loads of rain. I mean, you can see from the storm chasers, this rains so hard you can't even see the road hardly. Definitely not they're headed towards Tampa.
Yep.
He's about to get on I-4.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I-4 goes towards Orlando.
Well, but it goes back towards Tampa too. So I guess I've been to Florida a bunch of times working, but I don't remember the highway.
Well,
you live there, but
where I-4 and I-75, well, yeah, also I-275 as well, where they intersect is right by the port of Tampa, where the cruise ships go. So that's far, far to the east of downtown Tampa. So if they're on are they on I-4?
he just looked like he just turned on I-4. Right now he's up under the overpass before he gets on I-4 because I think the winds are blowing the rain sideways.
Because if they get on I-4, the only direction they can go is east, towards Orlando, and towards the east coast of Florida. Like, it would go Lakeland, Orlando, and then, Daytona.
Yeah, Bubble, the eye is around that major highway loop that I think they went under the I think they've gone past the eye, they gotten ahead of the eye, and they're up towards Tampa. I'm going to see if I'll zoom in on the major radar that's so detailed. I think you can see highways. Well, maybe not. See if it'll show us if we zoom in where I-4 is. I think they're going, as you see where I zoomed in, they're going up towards where all that storming is, towards Tampa. Unfortunately, it don't show. I'll go in the windy one and see if it does, but it doesn't show the highways on here for some reason. I thought it would be more detailed than windy, but I think windy may actually be more detailed than it is because they use Google Maps, I think.
I mean, I think it would be kind of a moot point to go towards Orlando.
Yeah, this one does. Let's see where they're at.
I think it would be much...
Right. I think they're trying to follow that band of all those storms and stuff. They're up towards Tampa. I think that's what they're trying
Well,
to...
Reed's in Venice.
Oh, okay.
That's 45 minutes south of Sarasota.
Okay, so there's 75.
I don't know if you want to relay that just in case they didn't hear.
Say that again. You should say
Venice. Reed is in Venice, and that's 45 minutes south of Sarasota.
So Reed is in Venice. So our middle storm chaser, Reed Timmer, is in Venice, and that's about 40. You said 45 minutes south of
Sarasota.
Sarasota.
Yeah.
So Reed's going south for some reason, and Connor's going on I-4. I'm trying to find I-4 on here. That's 41.
I-4, follow I-75.
Uh-huh.
Actually, no, follow 275.
Okay, there's 275. That's, I need to go north with it.
So I-75 runs north and south, and then
Right.
I-4,
Goes east-west.
yeah, merges right there by the port. So it goes like downtown Tampa, Ybor City, and then the port.
Okay, maybe they're farther north than I realized they were. There's 75 still. Okay, I'm on 75, but that just west of Tampa. I'm trying to find I-4. That's 60.
I'm gonna try to find it on here.
I can't imagine they're that far north.
Okay, here it is. If you come look at my phone real quick. So here is downtown Tampa.
Right.
There's Ybor City. This is I-4.
Okay.
So, and then there's McDill.
Okay. Let's see if I can find that.
So that
They must be on 275 right now. If they're about to get on 4. Let's see.
they've got to be on. 75.
Yeah.
But getting onto I-4, unless they get onto I-4 and take I-4 into downtown Tampa.
Yeah. That must be what they're doing. I don't, maybe they're gonna try to go see what the storm surge looks like in Tampa. Maybe I don't.
It is getting worse, the weather wherever Connor is.
Oh, he's definitely near Tampa because Tampa again. It's just like sitting on top of Tampa right now. It has been for the last hour. If it's moving, it is not moving fast for sure. It is kind of just sitting there and dumping rain on it.
Oh yeah, they're in another flash flood.
Yeah.
He's slowing down on the highway.
They hung out up under an overpass on 75 or 275, whatever they were on. They were hanging out under there because the rain was just blowing sideways. I don't think he could even see the highway to drive.
And I apologize. I'm doing work for my job, but then also.
Right, we're multitasking tonight.
So Tony's kind of taking it over and doing freaking amazing. So hearts in the chat or W's in the chat for Tony.
Yeah,
He's holding it down. I'm working and.
I am not the talker in this couple, so I'm doing the best I can to talk to y'all while I'd much rather be the certain person behind the scenes versus being the person on the that's doing all the talking. So I'm doing the best I can for you. Like I said, if you have any suggestions or anything you want me to talk about, I'll gladly talk about it. I've got a wide range of experience with storms and environmental situations. So we can talk about whatever y'all would like to talk about. We've already talked about Easton and the lawnmower, so and the fire truck, so
Fuck truck.
the fuck trucks instead of fire trucks. So. But we love our fans, and we're glad everybody's here tonight. We're hoping everybody's safe and all your family and friends are safe. And again, we're all making the best of this situation, and we try to laugh during even the difficult situations on this channel because
South.
it's what makes it easier to deal with what we're looking at for long periods of time. So.
Oh, it changed. Okay, so Reed is still in Venice, 45 minutes south of Sarasota.
Yeah.
And he's making his way north. But it looks like Connor's trying to make his way to Lakeland.
Oh. Thank you for the hearts, Bubba. I appreciate it. Again, I'm doing the best I can.
Which, if it's this bad in Lakeland, that's the halfway point between Tampa and Orlando.
Yeah. But that area is just, Lakeland's getting hammered. Lakeland's the very south end of all that storms and stuff, all that bad part of the storm.
It still looks like it's coming back down a little bit.
Yeah, I think it looks like, again, it still looks like it's turning northeast on them. It looks like it's moving definitely north and maybe a little bit northeast. It looks like it's going up rather than across.
And no one in the northern part, like in the Panhandle, was expecting this. Nobody prepped.
No, I think the Jacksonville area and Tallahassee area and Daytona Beach are getting hammered more so than anybody ever thought that they would, because they were definitely thinking it was going to go straight across, and it does not look like that's what it's doing currently, unless it makes a turn to the east at some point.
And I mean, they can't. The eye is done, right?
No, well, it's still an eye. If you look at the radar, you can still kind of see the eye.
So are they going back into the eye?
I think they're trying to follow it up. Is what they're trying to do. I think they're.
There's no way Connor is. Because he's heading to Lakeland. Unless. Cause we don't. Let me see. I'll see what direction he's going on I-4. If he's going east or west.
I'm going to take just a little bit of a break here for a second, but I'll be back on mic in just a second. Everybody keep watching. We'll be right back. Alright, I'm back with you. We're still watching as our storm chasers are doing crazy things.
They're about 25 minutes from where they're going.
Oh, okay. So it's probably just slow going with the weather. They're just again, they're getting pounded.
37 miles.
And that's crazy. We don't know how bad it's going to be after the eye.
Alright.
I feel like a freaking
Power flashes are starting.
Yeah, starting to see transformers start to pop. Yeah, you never know what you're going to see fly by. A flamingo, alligator, turtle, cow. The East Coast and Central Georgia's starting to see a bunch of rain off of it, and I don't think they ever planned to get any.
It's going crazy, Brian. What's up, man? Fighting through. Just trying to hold off the adrenaline crash as long as you can.
Oh, you want me to turn that down?
You can just turn it down a little bit. You gotta mute it. Uh-oh, starting to see tornadoes.
In a hurricane.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
Right. Usually the tornadoes that are gone before, and there's not even a tornado warning right now. I just pulled up my warnings on my radar. But good Lord, the circulation up around, all the circulation's up around Ocala and Gainesville. Again, I don't think any of these areas, like we talked about earlier, I think all of these areas are getting caught by surprise. And like you said, I think a lot, they were telling the government, the governor and people were telling them, go to Gainesville, go to Jacksonville, you get away from it. You'll be at, because it's supposed to go straight across. And again, it's going northward, so it's spinning off tornadoes as it makes its way that up north.
And I said yesterday, go to...
Go south.
Oh my. I don't know where Chris is, but that was great. Oh, now they're in Bradenton. So they are still going north.
Okay,
they
so-
aren't going east to west.
So they're working, and they're kind of behind. They're just south of all the action. It's kind of, the storms are moving a little bit north towards Dade City and Lakeland. So I think Connor's closer to it than Reed is, to be honest. Because Lakeland's starting to really feel the effects of it.
Well, if they're in Braden, I mean, we don't know how far. I'm still trying to figure out where Connor is.
Yeah. There's still not a tornado warning anywhere, but I'm definitely seeing tons of circulation that could possibly be. So I'm not exactly sure where it's at. But up around Ocala and Onasassa Springs, that got hit hard with Helene, they're starting to see tons of rain. These storms are starting to work their way towards it. Lots of lightning strikes up around Deltona and Tavares, and they're starting 60 and 70 lightning strike. Craziness.
These storms are getting unpredictable.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the models aren't doing as good a job in predicting them. It's definitely making a northward turn for sure. It may be going a little bit east, but it's making more of a north turn than it is an east turn for sure. For sure.
And imagine tomorrow when we start to see the after effects.
Yeah, that'll be I think the after effects tomorrow is gonna be like Helene. It's gonna be craziness in Tampa and Sarasota and stuff, where you can't really at nighttime see what the storm surge has really done. And to be fair, we don't really know what the storm surge is doing in Tampa and Sarasota because our storm chasers can't get there. So unfortunately, until daylight, whenever after the storms, we're not gonna really know how bad it is.
They're in Ellington. That's where the big what is it called? Those malls.
Oh, the outlet mall.
Yeah, yep. Ellington is the outlet.
The outlet mall is central. Oh no, Milton can't take out the outlet mall.
That's also where the only ice rink is that we could play at.
Oh yeah. Snowbirds would not be happy if they take out the outlet mall, that's for sure. I think definitely Georgia and North Florida are about to see a bunch of tornadoes.
And that's another thing that'll be interesting. If this storm dies down, I don't think it can die down enough that we won't see tornadoes.
Right. No,
Usually once it hits landfall, I mean, you get the wind and the rain.
Right.
But not these tornadoes.
If you look at that yellow area where the most intense storms of it are at, those aren't dying down at all. You don't see any breaking up of the storms in there. And unfortunately, all those where you're seeing all that tornadic activity is where earlier in the storm was just south of Orlando as it was approaching land. Is now making its way north. And is working its way up the east coast of Florida and possibly into Georgia here shortly. It has definitely, I mean, it almost looks like, if you're looking at the radar, it looks like it is stalled on top of, it's definitely not doing what they predicted it was going to do, because they predicted it to go straight across and to make it across Florida within a couple hours. And it's still, the eye, if you look at it, you can still kind of see the semblance of the eye, and it's still circling just around the west coast of Florida. Because if you look at the radar that we have up, the more detailed one, the more official one, the eye looks like it's around Punta Gorda right now, around Fort Myers, just north of Cape Coral. So I heard people saying earlier today, as it started jogging its way down towards Sarasota, well, Tampa's safe now. I mean, look at Tampa. Do you think Tampa's safe now? I mean, Tampa looks like it's taking, even though it made landfall around Sarasota, Tampa looks like it's taking more of a pounding than Sarasota did as far as storms go anyway. For sure. See, I think windy, I can pull up the average rainfall. I wonder how much rain they're getting. Let's see.
Palmetto, okay, so they're getting more away from the east. They're going northeast.
Yeah, you can definitely see. I pulled up a little more advanced version of windy, and you can definitely see the eye just east of Sarasota. What was the eye? It's got spread out now, but you can see the eye. Definitely. Let's see. See if this will give us that's temperature. Right there we go. Let's see what we're looking at as far as rainfall totals. Definitely inch and a half plus in the Tampa area for sure.
I still think the most interesting part of all this is going to be in the next 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it's It's this storm. It's definitely moving very slow for sure. I mean, it's just going. If you, I'm just sitting here watching on as it progresses. It's kind of predicting out how much rain they're going to get. They're averaging more than an inch and a half of rain per looks like per 30 minutes is what it looks like it is. So it's crazy how much rain they're getting. And it's supposed to rain all the way through Saturday. It looks like. Bubble says not being able to accurately predict the path has to be so expensive. That's a lot of money to evacuate for some people, potentially having to relocate again. I agree, yeah. Man, this is a mistake that can be a costly mistake with it moving north or more north than east for sure.
And some people were unable to find gas or find hotels. So they would go to like rest areas, or people that have land were opening up, like they have farms, they were opening up and saying you can bring tents or RVs. That's not going to cut it if the hurricane hits that area.
Right, and you think about those people that are renting RVs or have campgrounds or stuff like that, where now they went to evacuate to, now we're seeing tornadic activity start to pop up in that area. So yeah, we're done. I switched over to the Savannah radar for a second, and they're starting to see around on the east coast of Georgia. They're starting to see storms pop up and some circulation up into Georgia off of this stuff. So it's definitely, yeah, you 100% agree. It's an expensive mistake to make of predicting where it's going to go and it not go that way for sure.
And that's why when I was studying this thing last night, I just kept saying Miami, because the people in the Tampa area are only about 3 hours from Miami.
All right.
I mean, you could have even gone to the Everglades. I mean, there's lots of like little resorts and stuff for the tourist things there, but I mean, hell, that would be exciting. I think I'd rather go to the Everglades than go to Miami. I'll take home a souvenir in the form of a real baby alligator.
At least an anaconda can't shoot you. In Miami, it's up in there whether you might
I don't want an anaconda. I want an alligator.
Well, alligators can't shoot you either. But in Miami, it's a little up in the air whether you might get shot or not. But our storm chasers are seeing a lot of debris on the road, it looks like, along with the rainfall starting to mount up on the highways.
It's actually starting to, at least the direction they're going, doesn't it look like they might have gone ahead of it?
Yeah, or a little bit, I think they've gotten a little bit east of it, maybe.
Oh. See, now it looks like it's moving east, doesn't it? Or no?
I don't know. Let me see. Let me get it back moving again. For some reason it's
Like, look at this one.
yeah, it's moving a little bit east, but it's more of a northeast jog versus this straight east.
And that's the direction they're heading, is northeast.
Yeah. It looks like it's going towards.
They're gonna try to get round. This is round 3, I think.
Yeah. Looks that way. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's headed towards Daytona Beach.
No, Mike Ryan. Yeah, you're done. I'm done. I don't know why it still says flash flood. I mean, they're really... I'm guessing they had to have gone ahead of it.
I guess. I don't know.
Because it's definitely not bad where, at least not where Reed is. With Connor, he's getting it.
I think they're a little bit south of it. I think they're kind of traveling in the eye of it.
I need to go with my thingy.
Welcome in, everybody, as we continue to watch Hurricane Milton and try to predict where it's going. It's seems to be not going exactly how the models have predicted it to go. It's not going, definitely not going just due east. It looks like it's going north, maybe northeast. Definitely looks like it's making a little bit of a northerly turn, like headed towards Daytona Beach. As you can see on the radar, both radars that we have, you can kind of see it's kind of turning that way.
We're not thinking anything here. I thought with it going to Georgia, we
I don't think it's going to swing far enough. I think the coast of the Georgia and South Carolina are going to get some. Definitely Georgia. Georgia's already getting some. But I'm not sure it's going to go far enough north South Carolina to get on the coast to get rain. I think they were saying they would get rip currents and stuff off of it, but we have flash flood watches all over Florida, of course, but there are currently no other weather warnings. Even though we're seeing some circulation up around Daytona Beach and stuff, nothing has officially been. There's no tornado warnings or anything, and it does not appear that it had formed a tornado yet. So. So if anybody has any questions or anything, our chat's open. You know, if we can look something up for you, or if you have questions, definitely welcome in and ask whatever you like, and we'll do the best we can to get you an answer if we don't know. But we definitely are glad everybody's here. We're riding out this storm together and making it through together. So thank you very much for being here, and we definitely love our fans and we'll gladly help you out as much as we can, as much information as we can provide. We're watching a couple of storm chasers down. We don't know is their exact location, but we think they're a little bit southeast of the Tampa area, or east of the Tampa area. I think they're chasing the storm as it moves northeast. So you can see as they're making it through definitely some heavy rainfall on the highway that they're on. So they were originally down near Sarasota, where Hurricane Milton made landfall at a Category 3 with sustained winds at that time, 120 miles per hour. I haven't heard anybody say what the winds currently are. Let me see if I can change. I think Wendy has some wind readings. There you go. Let's see what wind readings we got.
It looks like we lost power with Connor. Oh no, we're slowly gaining it back.
Yeah, I think they just went through a bad area. It looked like well, I was gonna say it looked like they're in kind of a rural area, but it looks like they're coming into a more populated area. Let's see what we got. Sustained winds around Lakeland really aren't that bad right now. They're around 10, 11 miles per hour if you believe what this is telling us. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what we're looking at. Let me fix this. Change Wendy back to. So we're currently watching it as it moves northeast. I think we were talking about earlier is that this definitely going. The miles were definitely showing it go more due east directly across Florida at a more steady pace. It definitely appears that it's slowed down and made more of a northeast turn for sure, more so than it was predicted to be. So we're watching as it moves its way across up now more so than east. It looks like if you watch the area where the heaviest storms are just north of Tampa, it's definitely looks like it's moving more north than it is east. But it does have a little bit of an east turn, but more so north. And it's going into areas that not necessarily was expecting it to get these get all these heavy rains and stuff off of the storm because it was predicted to go due east. So it'll be interesting to see in the morning the aftermath of this, where exactly it, what like Daytona Beach and places that weren't expecting it, how much damage are they going to take from it for sure, because I don't think we're getting an accurate reading off of Windy for what the winds are. I would imagine they've got some pretty good gusts going up around Daytona and that area off of the storm, but that they weren't necessarily expecting. And we're definitely watching those circulation areas up around Daytona. Again, there's no tornado warnings or anything in that area, but we're seeing some circulation up around Daytona. And that's the part of the storm earlier today that caused tornadoes south of Orlando, where we had those tornado swarms where you see the picture on the screen of that huge tornado, the one that jumped over I-70, that went across I-75. And then there was a whole swarm of tornadoes that were all that big. So it was quite a active afternoon for the east coast of Florida, to say the least, with the tornadoes popping up for sure. And also be interesting to see tomorrow how much power outage do we have from this storm, and who I did see today. We were talking about last night who's going to come in, because in the southeast the resources are so stretched out from Helene, all the damage that was done in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. The power companies are all still working on restoring power in those states, and those are the ones that normally are the first ones to send linemen and stuff down to Florida when a hurricane comes through to do repairs and get their power grid back up. But I don't know that they necessarily have those crews to send out now, so who's going to be coming down? I did see today in a post that they were bringing the power linemen and stuff to restore power in Florida from as far north as it was like Ontario, Canada. And we definitely saw some crews there from Arkansas in some of the video footage that we were watching. So it's definitely different resources coming in to do recovery after Milton, because of just the southeast is just been battered from Helene, and having Milton come in this soon afterwards is definitely taking a toll on the southeast for sure.
Well, they're in Gibson, they're only heading north. They changed.
I think they're trying to get in the hot spot that's just east of Tampa. I don't know if they're having to try to work their way through it or what, but they are definitely trying to get in the more heavier storms for sure.
You had that for a second.
Yeah, I agree, Bo. The roads are empty. I haven't really seen any other cars on the road but them, and if we do see anybody, it might be storm chasers. So Florida was proactive in this case, and they did do a fairly good job of evacuating, or appeared to have done a fairly good job of evacuating based on the traffic and stuff. I think last I heard, they said over 1 million people evacuated out of Florida. So I mean, at least this time it did seem like people were heeding the warnings better than they usually do. Usually people just they hunker down and I'm not going anywhere. So at least that's one thing, but unfortunately, like we were talking about, it's going into areas now that people probably evacuated to, thinking that they'd be okay getting away from the storm, and now it's turning a little bit more than it was expected to. So, and it will be interesting also to see that now that it's changed this way, what happens when it gets into the Atlantic. I mean, the prediction was it was going to go straight across Florida for the most part, and then go straight out into the Atlantic. But with this little turn to the northeast, is it when it gets in the Atlantic, is it going to pick up strength and curve in on South Carolina and Georgia? I mean, Milton has been so unpredictable. I don't know that we know what it's going to do. I mean, and unfortunately, all we can do is sit and wait, and see what happens. But yeah, it's this has been an exciting storm to follow, because it's just been so unpredictable about the things that are happening with it, whether it's speed or pressure or whatever. It's just been a constantly, usually hurricanes, when they form, you just kind of watch them as they make their way across the Gulf or make their way across the Atlantic, and it's kind of a constant, progressive getting stronger and the progressive path. Milton, that's not been the case. The strength and the pressure, millibars of pressure, have changed every time they flew through it, and then it would go up, go down, go up, go down, and the path has changed, and it has been one of the more exciting storms to follow, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately. But we'll see. I mean, again, it'll be interesting to see what happens when it gets in the Atlantic. You would think that the Atlantic, the waters are getting cold enough now. Generally, this time of year is when you don't see too many hurricanes in the Atlantic. If you do see them, they typically turn north. If they're not coming from the Gulf and going to the Atlantic. They're coming from towards Africa, and they get about halfway across the Atlantic and then turn north. this one with it coming from the Gulf and going into the Atlantic, it'll be interesting to see if they're close enough to the coast, if the waters are still warm enough in the Atlantic on the coastline of the United States for it to build back up and come in on South Carolina or Georgia. I mean, it's hard to say what it's going to do. The readings that I'm showing on the other app that I was using for that's tracking the hurricane, the Zoom Earth, is saying that it still has 110 mile per hour sustained winds. Is what as a Category 2 hurricane is what it's saying. As an hour ago, as of 10 o'clock, that was what the winds were at, and it's predicting that right now the winds are 105, but still a Category 2 hurricane in the middle of Florida. So it has decreased, but it has not made a large, because it was 120 miles per hour sustained winds when it made landfall. So it's only dropped 15 miles per hour since it made landfall.
They're in Riverview. Riverview is the place that I told you has got very low. They're not above sea level.
Oh.
They're very, very low. That's where they're at now.
Oh, okay. So Allie says she's more familiar with Florida from living there. I've worked in Florida, but I don't have the knowledge of Florida that she has. She says they're in Riverview, was where our storm chasers are currently at. It's one of the lower points in Florida, which probably is not a good thing that they're getting dumped on all these torrential rains. I would imagine it probably is pretty easy to flood that area with this low elevation. So we're going to continue to watch it here, and we'll, if like I said, if anybody in our chat has any questions, feel free to ask us. We're going to watch our storm chasers and watch and see what Milton does tonight. To be quite honest with you, I kind of thought by now he would be pretty close to going. The eye would be pretty close to going off of the East Coast, but he has a mind of his own, and as he has the entire time since he became a hurricane. So we'll watch and see what Milton does for us tonight. So, by our looking at the streets or the highway signs, they're trying to get into downtown Tampa. I guess to see what damage has been done in Tampa.
But with the bay right there, that's a risky move.
Yeah, does that lead to the Howard Franklin?
It does. There's no way they can get on the Howard Franklin. Even the best storm chasers wouldn't. The bridge is not lifted at all. It sits on top of the water. So even if you have like white caps, if the water's a little rough, it spills onto the highway. I mean, you can drive through. It just makes the road wet. You really don't get much standing water, but in the instance of a hurricane, there's also no fence or anything on the side. So if you go over, you don't have a long drop. You have like maybe a 6-foot drop at most, like 5 to 6 foot drop. So the car would just blow right off. The other bridge that connects from the Sarasota Bradenton area down to Tampa is the Howard Franklin. And that's the one I just said. Sorry. The other one is the Skyway Bridge. And that's really, really, really high up because cruise ships have to pass under it. And if it gets 10 to 15 miles of wind, they have to shut that bridge down. They shut it down all the time. So they can't go on that one for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
I had a webcam up earlier today before I had the Howard Franklin, but I think it must have lost power. They cut power to it or whatever because I could no longer see what was blacked out.
The roof is coming apart at Tropicana.
Oh no, the Tropicana Hotel, that's in Tampa or is that in
The Tropicana is the field.
the field. Oh, I'm sorry. The Tropicana field. They're reporting that the roof is coming apart on the Tropicana.
And that was a major
the
shelter.
raised. Yeah, that was a major shelter in the Tampa area. So they're losing the roof on it is in the process of falling apart. That's not a good thing. As you can see, Tampa is still just getting pounded. Those storms are just sitting there. You also see it on the radar. They're just sitting there circulating over the top of Tampa. So we'll see what they find if they're able to even get into Tampa. Again, like you said, I'm not even sure they'll be able to. See if I can find something about the Tropicana roof. There happens to be some type of webcam or something. Oof. Okay, I'm about to put up a webcam from somewhere in downtown Tampa or around downtown Tampa of all the storm surge in Tampa. It is definitely pretty nasty, for sure. Let's see. So that webcam I just put up next to our storm chasers down there that's somewhere around downtown Tampa. It doesn't really tell me exactly where, but that is yeah. There's definitely some storm surge issues right there. You can see for sure, and it looks like our storm chasers are seeing quite a bit of debris on the freeway as well. And I'm still here. I'm just trying to find some webcams and stuff that shows that can show us what's going on.
I think they lost power to a lot of them.
Yeah, I think so. There's not a whole lot of options right now for. This is all. Okay, this one's pretty good. I'll put this one up too.
Now they're heading west. Oh boy.
I'm about to put up 4 cameras too. I found these are all exclusively in Tampa, and as you can just see how it's getting. The one with the storm surge, it's a little hard to see the wind. You can kind of see it blowing across that storm surge, but you can really see in these I'm about to put up how it's the wind and rain and stuff. You know, you can see with our storm chasers, they're dealing with it as well. But
You need your medicine.
I'll get it for you just a second. Okay, I just changed out the 4 cameras down there. That's live webcams down that in the bottom right hand corner above the scroll of downtown Tampa, and you can see it's just getting battered. I'm gonna take a quick break, real quick. Our cat co-host is asking for his dinner, so we're gonna feed him. But I'll be right back. We're monitoring the situation as you're watching it. We're watching it as well. All right, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm back. I found the video Allie was talking about in the chat about the Tropicana Stadium, so I'm gonna play that now. It doesn't have any sound. It's just somebody. It looks like they got it off their phone. So here's that. I played it a couple of times. You can see the roof missing that's the Tropicana baseball stadium in Tampa. They tore the roof completely off of it. And Allie's also said that she had heard reports that a crane fell into a building in St. Petersburg. Is that?
Yeah, it hit a building in St. Pete.
So let me replay that again for you. It's very short. It's only 19 seconds. So it completely ripped that roof off of that stadium. That was being used. I think it was planned to be used for a shelter. Now I don't know if anybody took advantage of it or not, but
It was full, yeah.
Oh, okay. So Allie
It
said
was a major evacuation shelter.
so. That was a major evacuation shelter. So it was being used. So I'm not exactly sure what they're doing with those people right now that are in Tropicana Field, because it looks like on the back side of it, the roof may still be intact in this video, but I can guarantee you it probably the rest of it has gone since this video was taken, because once the wind gets up under it takes it out. So we're definitely seeing some pretty severe damage from Milton in Tampa. And I think that, like I said earlier, I think a lot of people thought once it started making its move to the south towards Sarasota that Tampa was going to be okay, but it looks like Tampa really took more of a brunt of the storm than Sarasota did, other than the storm surge for Sarasota. We're continuing to watch Milton as it moves northeast. It definitely is not going as projected. It's not going to go directly across Florida. So as we were talking earlier, it'll be interesting to see what happens if it does go into the remnants of it do go into the Atlantic. What happens then? Because Milton has been very unpredictable this whole time. We do have two storm chasers that are trying to make it to downtown Tampa, so we're following them as they work their way through the storm. And I've added those webcams beside them on the bottom of downtown Tampa. You can see the storm surge and the one that's just the one camera, and then the one that's a series of 4 cameras in one box. You can see on the highways the highway cams of how the highway is just getting battered from a different perspective than our storm chasers are at.
That roof is shredded.
Yeah, the roof is
It just blew a bunch of panels out of the dome, and
yeah, it just for Tropicana Stadium, it blew a bunch of panels. I guess the wind somehow got up under it enough to get the panels out from up under it and blow them out, and then and tear the cover that goes over the top of those panels. So that's unfortunate. I mean, this hurricane has been predicted from the very beginning that it was going to be a very dangerous storm. I think in the morning when we start seeing what the storm damage looks like, we're going to see a lot of storm damage from this storm. I think, at nighttime it's kind of deceptive how much damage is truly being done. It's kind of like Helene that made landfall about the same time as Milton made landfall, around 10 p.m. And the next day we saw it completely, Cedar Key, it just wiped out the town. I mean, so I think we're going to be shocked in the morning when we start seeing all the storm damage from this storm, of everything between the tornadoes on the East Coast and Milton itself and the storm surge. I think we're going to see a lot of damage in all across Florida, because the path he's cutting across Florida, he's going to areas like Daytona Beach that didn't necessarily prepare, and Jacksonville they didn't necessarily prepare for for Milton to come through. They prepared for effects from Milton, but they didn't necessarily prepare for Milton itself to actually be a Category 2 or Category 1 hurricane to go across their area. So it'll be interesting tomorrow to see like Daytona Beach and the Jacksonville areas, how much damage they actually get off this storm, because they didn't necessarily didn't prepare probably as well as a Tampa area to their defense, because they weren't expecting the storm to go that direction. So we'll see what happens when the morning comes. As we're starting to see, you can see our storm chasers they're making their way into Tampa finally. You can see that there's quite a bit of standing water where they're whatever. I'm not sure which highway they're on, but
They're off the highway right now.
okay, so they're off the highway and they're on the streets, and I'm assuming down around downtown Tampa. There's a good bit of standing water from storm surge right there. That's
Not as much as I thought, though.
it's hard to tell how deep that is, but I mean, it's not like 3 feet or anything for sure. It's probably a foot of it maybe. It's like they're fixing to go to a toll booth somewhere, if they can.
They're open. They're not closed.
We're definitely seeing, you can see on the radar, Tampa's still getting pounded. I mean, it's moving north for sure, getting away from Tampa, but as it circles around, it's still just that heaviest area of storms. This part of one of the bands from Milton just keeps coming back through, and just when you think it's done, it comes back through and pounds it again. So. That's pretty. Look at that U-Haul. It's above the tires on that U-Haul truck. I think somebody's actually driving that U-Haul truck now that the lights just came on it. Or maybe that's their lights reflecting off of it. But you can definitely see how high the water is if you look at the water level compared to the tires on that U-Haul. That's not the largest U-Haul, but it's one of the medium-sized ones.
If you want us to show that video of Tropicana again, we can.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see it, just let me know in the chat. We played it a couple of times, but I'll play it again if anybody didn't see it and wants to see it. And thank you again for everybody being here with us as we watch Hurricane Milton. You see that pickup, which was a little bit jacked up. See how high the water's at the bottom of the door of that pickup. Thank you for being here with us as we watch Hurricane Milton as it makes its way not across Florida but north. Came in around 10 p.m. landfall, 9:30, 10 p.m. landfall, and instead of going straight across like they thought, Milton had a mind of his own and is going north on them right now. More north, but a little northeast. So it's definitely going the way they expected him to go. So thank you for being here with us. We continue coverage of this. Our webcams, I have webcams up all over Florida, but we have a lot of stuff in the Tampa area right now across the bottom, because that's where the heaviest part of the storms and the bands of storms from Milton are hitting right now. So we have 2 storm chasers that are traveling into Tampa. They were in Sarasota when it made landfall, and they're following it up through Tampa to see what kind of damage they're seeing. We also have some webcams that I have down there of the streets in Tampa to kind of give you an idea of how bad right now the storm surge and flooding is in Tampa. You can see the wind's still gusting pretty good. You can watch those street signs on the webcams on the streets, and you can see those street signs are still shaking pretty good. So the wind's still blowing pretty heavy in Tampa. See if I can find the wind gusts for. Winds are gusting right now in Tampa area at 30 miles per hour. It has sustained winds between 11 to 15 or 11 to 16 miles per hour. So there's still a significant little breeze going down there for sure.
Looks like Connor's doing okay. I don't know where he is.
Yeah. Right now, based on the radar, it looks like some of the storms have moved to a little bit to the east now. They're still in the process of circling back around. They're kind of in the lesser part of the storm.
Still have a lot of power.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. There is a lot of power. So I'm surprised these street lights are still up and running. You can definitely see on those street webcams I have up for Tampa that you definitely have some pretty significant wind gusts. Just looking at the rain as you see it blowing it across the streets there, it's gusting pretty good. Like I said, the forecast I saw, it said that it's gusting around 20 to 30 miles per hour. And the rain bands are definitely starting to make it into, if you look at the radar up in the upper right hand corner, the rainfall is starting to make it into Georgia and just kind of hugging the coast of Georgia right now.
I guess most of the people at Tropicana,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's an evacuation, or sort of, it's a shelter, but it was mostly for first responders. So that way they could get right out into the city.
Okay. So Allie just found out that Tropicana, yes, it was an evacuation shelter as well, but they were also using it to mostly house the response teams and the first responders and stuff that are on site in Tampa. Which is it's bad. It's definitely not good, but it's at least it wasn't evacuees that were in there. But still, I don't know where they're gonna put those people. Hopefully the.
And if they're injured, those are the first responders.
Right, they're true. If there's any injuries, I don't know how much of the structure itself collapsed inside the building or blew off outside or whatever, but hopefully there's no injury. Right now we're not hearing about any injuries inside of the stadium, but of course the communication is a little bit sketchy right now in Tampa, for sure.
And that's going to be the interesting thing I think we see all of tomorrow is the cleanup and how bad the damage is. So tomorrow will be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it'll be like Helene. Like I said earlier, this hurricane made landfall about the same time that Helene made. So we didn't realize how much devastation Helene caused until the next day. So it'll be interesting to see from up in Florida how much devastation we see in Tampa and Sarasota and even in the areas that this hurricane now is moving through that they didn't expect it to. You can definitely see that some of the storm chaser videos have got debris in the road, and some of the canopies in the gas stations are starting to come apart. At least the sheet metal on the outside, the skin of the canopy is starting to be blown away. they're slowly but surely making their way into Tampa. It'll be interesting to see when they get to Tampa what they see. Looks like they're pulling cars out of the flood. I'm not sure. I can't tell if that's a police car that's pulling that car out. It looks like they may have flooded out that car. I don't know why people are out. Well, I mean, I know storm chasers are out. Maybe that's a storm chaser vehicle, but I don't know why anybody else would be out and about in the middle of a Category 3 hurricane. But people never cease to amaze me at what stupidity they will demonstrate, so, especially during hurricanes and tornadoes. Or as Allie would tell me, tornadoes, not tornadoes. That's my southern accent getting in the way.
Definitely getting more flooding now.
Yeah.
And
Looks like,
it's not gonna pull out.
alright, it just keeps circling back. It's about to come back through again, Tampa. That the same band with all the heavy rain and storm. That's up under up an elevated road. It looks like it's pretty significant little flooding up under there. You can definitely see as they're going around from place to the gas stations and stuff. There's definitely some debris around. I mean, it's not real bad yet, but definitely you see definitely some storm surge and flooding going on, which we talked about would probably be the worst part of this storm. Water definitely looks deep enough where they're at. They're concerned about it flooding out that truck. That truck was. It's not like your standard pickup that's lowered to the ground. It's definitely been lifted up some. So.
I don't know what they're trying to do.
I don't know. Well, they don't get themselves in a mess is what it looks like they're gonna do. I think he was trying to find if he could go that way, but I think it was deeper than he expected it to be. And on another fun note, there is another tropical wave off the east coast of Florida that they're predicting has a 40% chance of becoming a storm. And it's too early to predict which way it'll go. Probably will go away from the United States, kind of what they're showing, but there is a possibility of that forming this week as well. So it's still a little too early to tell. It hasn't been named or anything. It's still just a tropical disturbance, a wave or whatever that they're looking at to see if it becomes something else. So that's another fun story that we got coming up soon, whether that becomes something or not.
I think they said around, is this the one that was supposed to be due around October 19th or 20th?
Yeah, it's the one that's right off the east coast of Florida.
Might be a little faster.
Yeah, it's close. I don't know. Old Milton's still just making his way more north than east.
You wanna?
Well, thank you, Bubbles, for being here. We appreciate you for coming in. We'll definitely be around tomorrow covering the cleanup. Probably be later in the afternoon. We'll try to put something up earlier in the day. But we appreciate you, everybody being here. We're going to step away for a little bit. We'll keep it up for everybody to watch the coverage. But we appreciate everybody being here, and we'll be monitoring the situation. If something breaking news happens, we'll come back on. But thank you, everybody, for being here. We love spending time with everyone, and we'll, like I said, we'll come back on if something changes.